better against this right back, Charlie. Definitely.
I am definitely. Smash the like button, people. Get your comments in. Let's go, man.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on. Yes, I am Mr. Ian Wright. Thank you for that. I can take it all from here. People deluded, I'm back again. As usual, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. Now, appreciative to those of you who are part of my last live stream. Big up George. We spoke Arsenal, Bayern Munich, or better yet, I probed him for his thoughts and everything in relation to the game. If you've got any Bayern Munich, or better yet, post-Bayern Munich thoughts, Arsenal thoughts across everything we discuss, get them in. Because while I like to make videos and share my love of football and Arsenal, I love to hear from you lot, man. And as usual, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. I hope you're doing well and safe. In relation to the Bayern Munich game, I've got a couple of more thoughts. I'll get into them in a second as a bit of a therapy session. And then, yeah, people, it is what it is. Big up yourself, 2-3 Social. You as part of the last live stream. Appreciative to your consistent commitment. Now, if I bring up my notes, what did I actually feel beyond the obvious? I don't want to keep repeating the same things in relation to Bayern Munich, people. The game with Bayern Munich, but I felt the first thing I would say, psychologically, there looks like there's issues. As much as football is about tactics and all of those things, I think fine margins and psychological factors on the best of day in the best of games, and I think they're heightened in the Champions League, in any Champions League game, much less the latter stages, much less a team that ain't been there for 14 years in that stage and hasn't been in the Champions League for a while. And the core nucleus, or the vast majority of our players, you know, unless you're what, Kai Havertz, Jorginho, who else? Gabriel, Jesus, Zinchenko. There's probably 1, 2, 3 more. But the vast majority of our team haven't been in those stages. And I do think there's been psychological issues for us in the Champions League. I think they were there in the Porto game across 2 legs. And I think they were there against Bayern Munich, really. I don't know how you look at the Bayern Munich game, but as I said, fine margins. And yes, we scored goals. We should have defended a lot crisper and cleaner to the standard we've been doing all season. Last night felt like Arsenal of old, in that in the final third, I think we could have played a lot better, but we looked a lot promising. I was very comfortable. For big up you, that was part of my watch along. Where you start to look on the transitions or the counter attacks, or at times our pressing was good, but at times it wasn't, and how easy Bayern Munich got through that and got into the middle third and the defensive third. That's where the issues remain. Now, David Raya, Gabriel, Saliba, Kiwior, these men are not going to have any highlights from yesterday. But football is, you know, 9 times out of 10, them lot have saved other players that haven't been highlighted for their failings, really. And that's what a football team should do. Lift your teammates. And keeping up the theme with psychological factors, one thing I'll give this team, and they've showed it time and time again, there hasn't been too many times we've had to show adversity or soldier through, because our mentality has been spot on. We've been winning games and going home. But there's been times, you know, Brentford, last-minute winners against Luton, to a degree, the games against Liverpool ×2, and also Man City ×2, and some other games in that regard. And obviously, mental aspect to keep doing what Mikel Arteta is demanding of you when you look back to how the year 2023 ended and how it technically started with another defeat, but then we went off and did good things. So I think I have liked that. I think if Arteta, again, I would love to have a conversation with Arteta. Unless you win a game of football, and even then, you might want to do things differently. I think maybe Mikel Arteta would have maybe gambled with Tomiyasu or potentially Zinchenko, who would have failed, as opposed to Kiwior. I think, you know, obviously we like to dominate proceedings. We like to play in the opposition's half. We like to have a high line because we've got the physical athletes to do such. And we like to press. But a byproduct of that is the space, and I don't think we mitigated against it. Obviously, individually, those 2 goals were horrible. You know, we've got a great record in terms of clean sheets at the Emirates this season in the Champs going into that game, and we've been great defensively. We're one of the best defensive teams this year or this season on the planet, really and truly. And we didn't reflect that yesterday. You know, there's no shame in Bayern Munich scoring goals. If Harry Kane, you know, turns on the outside of the area and cracks it in, if Sane dances past a few players, if Gnabry does the same and all of that, and or just someone from Bayern Munich shows their quality, sometimes you just have to hold your hands up. That happened. It is what it is. But we gifted them their goals. You know, I don't know if I'm more annoyed with the first goal or the second, or better yet, what led to the penalty. I would probably, I'd say the second, because mistakes happen, innit? Like, mistakes happen. I'm not here to just blame David Raya or blame Gabriel or Kirill or even Benjamin White and Saliba and a couple of other players where if you watch the first goal again, they are not the perpetrators, but we could have collectively all defended better. As I said earlier, yeah, and I keep using this example. You see, when you're younger and you're chilling with your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, and, you know, you're ramping, if you don't know what it is, you're play fighting, you're horse playing, you're doing what you shouldn't do, and someone breaks a plate or someone does something, you know, your grandma or your granddad, they're not going to, well, me anyways, they're not going to come into your room. They're not going to come into the room and ask who did what. Everybody who's there is getting beats. That's the same logic. I don't care if David Raya made the mistake, Gabriel, Kirill. There's a culmination of errors. You know, communication is key. Now, watching that again, I'd love to hear all of the defenders' perspectives better yet on it, but I can't because I don't know them. For me, watching the game again and watching particularly the first goal via different angles, I don't think David Raya has communicated to Gabriel what's going on there. And I would say, David Raya, you don't need to be there. Now, Gabriel probably could have gambled that his keeper, could have got there. And maybe we're not talking about this. But I actually like the fact that Gabriel took authority, get half-hearted signals from David Raya, tried to deal with it. Gabriel's trying to be a bit too cute and clever, and I think he's given Kirill a hospital pass. That being said, Kirill's body positioning, his body shape, his flat-footedness, none of that helps. And then I've alluded to other players. The second goal is jarring because, you know, obviously teams are going to beat the press. We saw it to a degree against Brighton. Bayern Munich beat the press, and to be fair with you, Deluded, I think he was a monster against us, and I think Kimmich had a decent game. Not that Martinelli offered him anything, but them two players in particular have saved Neuer, because Neuer's given them a poor pass, really, and they've dealt with it. So long ball into Sane, and I'll never begrudge Kirill for getting ripped by Sane. He's going to turn players. You know, there's no shame in that, but Kirill didn't look convincing. He's got turned. You lot always tell me he's quick. There's no recovery pace. Once again, he's caught flat-footed. And then, you know, Gabriel's had a swipe. Jorginho's had a swipe. Saliba's made a mistake. And there's other players that could have probably done better in that moment. So 2 horrible goals. I think we look threatening in the final third. I think fine margins. Personally, I think we should have had a penalty. I think we're quite fortunate Bayern Munich didn't get another one. Obviously, Benjamin White isn't paid to score goals and should be doing a lot better. But, you know, how many players had clear-cut chances out of the attackers, unless your name's Bukayo and all the others? So what have we done there? So it could have been better, but it could have been a lot worse. I would say the fact that we let ourselves down versus how good Bayern are gives me a lot of optimism, because I know the boys won't be happy with this. Nice to see Martin Odegaard stood up to be counted. You know, we did dominate the statistics, but the only statistics that matter are, you know, putting the ball in the back of the net. And I would say one saving grace is, could you imagine if there were still away goals, people? Genuinely, like, the dynamics would look a lot different. And I know there's no away goals now, and it makes it all to play for, but I think the boys need to pretend that there is away goals, because again, you have to defend amicably in this. And one thing that, smash the like button and subscribe, folks, one thing Bayern Munich has over us is collective experience. The vast majority of their players have been there, done it, wore the t-shirt several times, and have more experience than us. But I don't think off the ball we're good enough. I don't think we're good enough in terms of the second balls. I think we're just shambolic defensively. I think, you know, Declan Rice kind of played with a handbrake because he knows he gets a second yellow, he's in trouble. I would have loved to see Declan Rice and Jorginho reverse the roles, in that Declan Rice is the 6, Jorginho is the 8, because I think Rice, he's still learning that kind of role, and I don't want to say he struggled, but he kind of did. Yeah, big up Martin Odegaard quality. I think Havertz did well. I think Saka did well. I think everybody off the bench did well. Partey's ball actually led to the Saka penalty incident, I'm sure. Obviously, Trossard and Jesus came off the bench in great effect. People have a lot to say about Zinchenko, but he came off the bench and done well. But you know, it doesn't matter if some players were 20 out of 10 and some players were 2 out of 10. We're a team. So unless you win, who cares? And it's all to do in Germany. And we've already got a compact and condensed fixture calendar list now. If you have to go and play we have to play 180 minutes. But if you've now got extra time next week, it starts to filter in the league. And this is the decisive period of the season, really and truly. So, yeah, I think there's stuff we all could have done better, if I'm completely honest. Like even pressing Eric Dyer, there was a stage where Bayern looked fairly comfortable and they looked all right. And in many ways, it was a street smart performance. But Bayern, you know, every time we got next to Dyer, he's the only one that was scared. He was going long. We stopped doing that. So again, I think there's a lot to learn. I think Saka, you know, we called for you to have a big game. You had a big game. I think we should have had a pen, fair enough. I think Odegaard's dispelled that BS myth that he doesn't turn up in big games. Kai's doing his thing. Again, the transitions would be the major thing for me as well, people. What else would be my thoughts? I don't think I've got any other thoughts in relation to that. I think people need to put a bit more respect on Gabriel Jesus' name. I think the experienced players, you know, were the ones I was kind of betting on, man. If I'm honest, Kirill and Jorginho are filled in long enough. It's time they hold bench. Zini and Jesus were good yesterday, but need to sell them. I'm not selling Gabriel Jesus, and Zinchenko can stay and be part of a squad role. I mean, if we're in the respectfully, I think selling Gabriel Jesus is nonsense at this moment in time. If we've got better collective options and better players in the 11 and we've won a number of trophies like City, then yeah. But as we're still in this transitional period where we're announcing ourselves as being competitive, we're now trying to win stuff. There's no, for me, you can't sell Gabriel Jesus. And especially in moments like that. Kirill has slow feet, really slow feet, extremely one-footed, no agility. He is about Rob Holding level. Bit harsh. He's twice the player Rob Holding is, but yeah, I don't think he's the guy. Arsenal might need to look a new left back, potentially. And I guess, you know, Arteta has to reserve the right of however he wants to use his squad. Now, he could have played Zinchenko, and Zinchenko was amazing, and we're not talking about it. He could have looked even worse than Kirill. Tommy actually would have been the one for me, but he could have looked worse. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't, unless you win. But, you know, I just feel that I do think I think Kirill's done well and he's found a good role for himself, but I think fans have been overrating Kirill. Nothing to do with him. He's doing well, but I just feel, you know, he done well on the large part against City. I know you got turned by Bernardo, but he did well against Liverpool. Don't think you were tested against Porto, but you did well. And even in the Porto game, Trossard's filling in for him. I just feel that there hasn't been enough case study and Kirill ain't been tested like that, really. I would have loved to have seen Partey start, but it raises the question that, was it tactical decisions not to start Tomiyasu and Partey? Is it a fitness thing? Are they more behind in fitness more than we know? I'm not too sure. Get Timber on the pitch. I mean, let's take time with Timber. If Timber was there, maybe we're saying the same things, but it would have been nice to be able to select Timber, if I'm honest. Arsenal can beat Bayern. We were our own worst enemy with silly mistakes, but we need to stick together and focus on the next game. You're right, Kevin. At the same time, though, it's a different dynamic going in there, man. You know, it's a very different dynamic. They're going to have their fans. We're obviously going off to Germany. Every game is taking more and more out of our players fitness-wise. Yeah, man, it's going to, you know, Thomas Tuchel and Arteta, I'm sure they're going to do their homework, both internally, what they could have, would have, should have done differently, and what the teams are doing. Obviously, unfortunately, Gnabry's now injured. Alphonso Davies is now suspended, so that changes the dynamics. In many ways, it'd be a similar game, but it'd be very different. But the task is simple. If you want your Champions League dream to continue, go out and do the job. And I'm not saying Arsenal necessarily going to win or we're going to roll over Bayern Munich, because I tried to urge caution on sleeping on Bayern Munich, regardless of their form. But based on what we've been doing generally this season, based on the positives and obviously thinking about the negatives, but based on the positives of the last game, I'm confident that we can give ourselves the best chance and put our best foot forward in terms of achieving a confident result that we'd all love to see. That Villa game is going to be a long work. Villa play exactly like Bayern, minus Sane, Gnabry, quality but pace is pace. Arteta set us up wrong. He might have been worried with Rice on the yellow. Stand by Mazzini comments, great on the ball, poor off it. That's true. But at the same time, he might have set us up wrong, but based on how we went out there, if the players didn't listen, that's another thing. But you could argue, you know, adding fuel to your fire, then he set up the team extremely wrong, because there's situations where I thought Declan Rice was playing with that mental handbrake, where there's times where he could intercept and he could nick it. Just looked like he didn't want to take that chance, and I can't blame him. When he got that yellow against Porto, it was crazy. I'm just big mad. We did flatter to deceive yesterday. We crumbled, man. Disappointed last night. Bayern were there for the taking. Coman comes in. Coman more tricky. There's more layers to Coman's game. He can do the pace thing. He can cut inside it. But he's going to have to stand up to be counted. This is the territory we wanted to be in. Selling Gabriel Jesus would be a foolish move and would be... Well, where's your comment gone? Oh, it's come back. Selling Gabriel Jesus would be a foolish move and would be way too reactionary. Sure, we can replace him in the 9, but him being in the squad is crucial. There you have it. DG, I feel Bayern was open. Do you feel in the return leg we should move Kai to midfield and drop Jorginho for Jesus? Nah, I think you get I need Partey to start that game, if I'm honest. Keep Kai up front because I think Kai had a decent game. Kai drops into midfield anyways. He works the channels and he's a bit of an aerial threat. I think Kai does all the other things across 90 minutes that you find great. Obviously, he's never going to be clinical in the final third, but has obviously shown he can do that of late. Again, it's it's not a long way away, but it's just over a week away. If he was asking me, the team that I want to see go out there, Ramsdale now I'm playing. Raya, Gabriel, Saliba, Benjamin White, Tomiyasu, Partey, Rice, Odegaard, obviously Bukayo Saka, Kai Havertz. And I'd probably go with Gabriel Jesus. I still think there's issues on the left-hand side. I think there's too much turnover there. And I understand you need a squad, but we've seen a couple of people, you know, Timber got injured, but Timber's played left back. Tommy's played left back. Kyrgios played left back. We've seen a whole different bunch of people played in that left 8 and out wide. And I just feel last season was the first time in a while as an Arsenal fan, I felt we were equally as threatening down the left and the right. Now, obviously, on the right-hand side, there's a lot more stability with Benjamin White, with Odegaard, with Saka. They're more linchpins and foundations of our team. But I think anyone's kind of crippled, really and truly. But fortunately, you know, what's been the case in that we haven't necessarily, even when we haven't had the results we'd like, we're leaving with something, man. DG, by the way, we told man about Zini and Jesus. There's use for them, man. There's use for them. Hey, Zinchenko coming off the bench in games like that, I'm kind of for it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I weren't for it at half time. That's why I'm sitting on YouTube and Arteta's the manager. I was saying Tomiyasu were open. It was a big gamble, and the manager has to have faith and use everyone in his team. But yeah, and Gabriel Jesus, again, experience can be overstated, but it can't be overrated, man. Gabriel Jesus, people can say what they want about Jorginho, but I feel Jesus, Jorginho, Trossard, Odegaard, Kai Havertz, you know, there's got to be a correlation between them lot kind of keeping their bottle and their nerve and then the others. Now, of course, there's some exceptions to the rules. Saka obviously has transferable experience, but isn't experienced in playing in specifically the Champions League at this stage. The same goes for Rice. So, yeah, man, it was a weird one. I think City game, it's different, but I was more happy with our defensive performances and maybe the half chances we could have taken. This game yesterday, was better. Like the front players were better. We got let down by the players to a degree in the middle third, and obviously our defenders. I'd argue Arsenal need a centre back over a left back, not got someone who can rotate for Saliba when needed. Kyrgios has been hooked both big games. He ain't got the nerves and the quality for these games. I'd sell in a heartbeat. Partey and Tommy need to start versus Villa to get in their groove. I'm here for that. The media was talking too good about Arsenal's defense here and there. I just knew it was bound to be a disaster. There you have it. But mistakes happen, man. It would have been nice because we've been gassing up our centre-half pairing and whatnot. But it's a sobering reminder that for these boys, not that they don't know, that you're on the journey. You haven't got there yet. Nobody has achieved anything yet. And there's certain elements that we need to achieve. Like, obviously, Premier League, I think we're close to winning the league title. Whether we do it this year or not, we're close to bullying this league. Europe's a different ball game based on how teams set up, and I don't know if, you know, in many ways it felt like we dominated the game and Bayern were just living where they could live against us. But you could argue it was extremely street smart. Tuchel and their boys knew that Arsenal were going to come here somewhat filled with confidence. Any half chances, let's exploit them, which they did. We do have a good left back at Real Sociedad. I'm not going to lie, Tini would have been a great option at times in this season. And to be honest with you, with the way Kyrgios been deployed, obviously he inverts at times. You could argue Tini, when he has played as a traditional left back, Kyrgios, Tini could have done that. But I think Tini would have been here if he wanted. I don't think he was favoured by the manager or in the manager's thoughts to a point now since we've done this inverted thing. But I think Tini sat there and said, manager, in the summer, manager, you know what? I respect you. I respect what's going on. But I'm behind Kyrgios. Timber's been signed now. Zinni's there. Tommy can play there. I need to cut in it. I need to go somewhere. So there you have it. So unfortunately, I think Tini's time's done. Zinni did impress me off the bench yesterday. I'm glad he did because when I saw him come on, I was preparing to hold 5 again. Sane coming off played a big role in that though. Amen, really. I wasn't looking I was thinking, boy, Zinni's going to go to sleep. All I was thinking is I'm scared. But the one thing that I would say with Zinchenko is like, please, just be solid on the ball. I don't expect much of you defensively. And if you make a mistake defensively, but you can be involved in something on the ball, fair enough. Elite level competition needs you. I think needs your best players to play and say what you want to say about Jesus, but his footballing ability is needed for us. And the temperament, going back to the psychological stuff. Tini is better than Kyrgios, just ain't got the height. if we make it through and Madrid is what we have next, this performance alone would concern me heavily going into the semi-finals. 100%, man. But I'm not saying you, but there was a lot of Arsenal fans once upon a time in the world were saying, you know, bring on Real Madrid, bring on Bayern. We don't fear anyone. God said, yeah, smash the likes if you haven't already, folks. So, yeah, man, for me, that's all the thoughts I've got in relation to the game. Let's see what the latest news, rumours and all that stuff in relation to the game is saying. On the penalty appeal, our manager or gaffer Arteta said, I haven't seen it. The decision is made and we have to focus on other aspects that we can control. We could have done much better tonight. Can't disagree. On whether Saka could have stayed on his feet at the end, I haven't seen the image. For me, it's difficult to say with the distance, but I'll review it. On the confidence from the first leg going into the second, bit of a mixed bag, really and truly. I think we started the game really well. We were dominant. We played in the opponent's half. We generated some momentum, scored the first goal, and then it's a clinical moment of the match. Ben White is in front of Neuer to make it 2-0, and we have to put the ball in the back of the net, and it becomes a different moment. Then in the Champions League, you cannot give anything to your opponent. We had given them 2 goals today, and when you have this situation, they're going to punish you. The margins are really small in this competition. It's really difficult to penetrate the opponents and create big quality chances against this level of opposition. Make sure you don't give them anything, but I think the team showed a lot of composure, especially after 2-1, because you can throw your toys away and generate a lot of spaces for the opponent and lose the tie in 20 minutes. We haven't done that, and I think the subs made a huge impact, and the way they came on the pitch, the body language, the attitude, the initiative to make things happen made a big difference to the team. Don't think anyone can disagree. On conceding the 2 goals, this happens, and maybe it happened before and you don't get punished, but this is the level against this kind of players, this kind of opposition, especially they have space, they can punish you. We have let them run in a few occasions. That is something in the return leg we have to do much better. On Kane's challenge on Gabriel, it should have been sent off, really. Nasty player, Kane, man. Really. I might be as well if I'd struggle to spell a 4-letter word, which is my name, and probably spit in every interview I give. But yeah, fuck him. Anyways, he then said, absolutely, when you bring 2 or 3 players like we have done tonight, with Alex straight away at halftime to change a few things, then with Leao and Gabby, and then Thomas when it needs, because the game became a bit chaotic and it was a big danger to lose it. I think they all had a big impact. On momentum shift being down to inexperience in this competition, I don't know, but obviously that created some insecurity in the team because we have given them things they have to earn, and then you start to defend open spaces where they have a huge capacity to hurt you there. We've seen it, and to be honest, Arteta played with Gnabry. He worked with Sane, and you know Stevie Wonder could see how you play silly games, you win silly prizes. You play with fire, you put your hand in a fire, you get burnt. That's what happened to ourselves. But I'm not saying Arsenal are the biggest and baddest team in the world, but I think there's rarely been times we've drawn and lost, and we haven't been the better team, or there hasn't been positives. I don't think there is any positives with Fulham away, for example, or West Ham in the League Cup. But when we lost to Villa, Newcastle, there's definitely another one, West Ham, when we drew against Spurs and Chelsea, we weren't as good as we could be over 90 minutes. There was more positives than not. So we do need to eradicate those things, because if we didn't do that, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but the negatives, if we didn't do that yesterday, we're winning 2 or 3-0, and there's different kind of thumbnails and whatnot on my channel. Obviously, if we got full points against Spurs and all the others, and if we turn up, if we didn't wait until an hour to turn up against Chelsea away, we'd be running away with the league. But you know, if I was taller, I might be a footballer. If I had a vagina, I might be a woman. In it, it's all ifs and buts. It's simple as that, man. You know, it is what it is. We can only go back with what's happened, and we didn't do enough today. And I think Arteta, it's not that he's dishonest, but he very rarely talks this bluntly, and I can't disagree with anything he said here. Like, didn't defend the open spaces well, didn't manage the transitions well, didn't take all of the chances. And if you're not going to take the chances, you need to be spot on defensively. And for me, I think it could just be one of those days. Mistakes happen, but I don't think we was up here. We was in the right frame of mind. Like, this is the last 2 Champions League games. Saliba has finally looked like someone in their early 20s. So it's a good sobering reminder that we ain't achieved nothing yet. Nobody's the finished article, and we need to keep going, man. I mean, he also said, you know, the crowd was unbelievable. On lessons learned, he said that, yeah, that is the experiences. They have done that really well. To be fair, we missed out on top 4. We missed out on the league. We seem to have been learning quite quickly. There are moments in games that are very defining, especially in the Champions League, and we've seen a clear example of that. On Saka's reaction to the pen not being given, I was already looking at the other goal because we are with 10 men. The game hasn't been finished. I was more worried about that than his reaction. On whether he sympathizes with Saka, yeah. you know, because of how he done stuff. Obviously, the mood in the dressing room isn't going to be the worst, but isn't necessarily going to be the best. On our inexperience in this competition, well, I think we made some mistakes today, and for the next time for that to happen, there are less. And okay, it happened today, but let's learn from it. Let's support those players who have been unbelievable. It's part of football. On positives, he said, yeah, you have to feel it on the pitch. The game state tells you and gives you a lot of information. Is the game there for the taking? Raise the level of risk and commit more players forward, or do something out the game. When it's in a state, be careful. And I think the game after scoring, giving 3, 4 or 5 straight balls away and allowing certain transitions wasn't there to win it. It was closer to lose if we make a few mistakes. And that tells you Arteta said, you know what, we can't win. Let's not lose, people. On our reaction, he said, I'm very proud now. I sense the belief is there. We are going to Munich and have the chance to win it. And we're going to be better in certain areas. That's how we're going to prepare for it. Amen. Hopefully, subscribe and smash the like button if you haven't. When you say super sub, it's this, man. In fact, the term super sub is kind of disrespectful to Trossard because he's so much more than that. But I genuinely think that role needs to change now. It's not, it's the Trossard role. And unfortunately, you know, I don't really want to praise subs because I would have loved it to go how it wanted to, but Trossard stood up to be counted. And another one that doesn't have experience in this competition per se, but is an experienced player. Even that, experienced players did make cool, you know, kind of thingies. And there must be a correlation, really, because Raya ain't played in the champs. Gabriel ain't played in the champs up until this moment. Saliba ain't played in this competition. Kirill's not been here. Maybe that's something to be said there. I don't know, but let me know your thoughts as well as subscribing and smashing the like button. Trossard said, it's a mixed feeling in the dressing room, I would say. I think we started so well in the first 15 minutes. We could have been up by 2 or 3 goals. And then you can see their quality as well, especially up front. Their individual qualities, they're so strong, especially on the counter-attack. That's where they hurt us today. So let's be better on the transitions. He then said, people, at the end, I think we're happy, obviously, with the equalizer. It brings us back on equal terms, and we have to do it there. On Jesus, he said he dribbled his way through, and the moment he was in the box, I shouted his name because I knew I was free. Luckily, he saw me, and it was the perfect goal for us. It was a great feeling. I think every footballer wants to play at the highest level, and the Champions League is that, especially in front of your home fans. It's always nice. I'm happy with that. Then he said, I think it will be a tough game there as well. They've shown today how they can hurt us. So I think we need to work on that for the next week. And to be honest, I think if we're at our top level, we can beat them. I think maybe on the ball today, that wasn't the case. So we know what we're going to work on, but hopefully we can finish there. I think we can finish it there. So he said, we're not good on the ball. Arteta's spoken about certain things. It kind of tells you how these boys are thinking going into the game. The confidence is really high. Even without the game today, we've been playing so well in the last few weeks and months. It's just nice that we had the equalizer as well. I think it's so important to go to Munich and have that result. So it's all to play for. I don't think anyone can disagree with what's been said there, man. Hey, Ahmed, you're moving back. Do you know what? Hey, you're right. But listen, everyone, allow me in. I don't want the social justice warriors. For me, it's not a question of quality or tactics. It was clear that our players are nervous. Hopefully, they can overcome that in the second half. And that's true. And I guess that's something for these boys to learn. I guess you have to go through these experiences. So hopefully next year or definitely next week isn't the same thing. But at the same time, even though I agree with you, and I've been saying that, if I go against my own logic and be devil's advocate, I've definitely never played in the Champions League. How far does that go? Because you have played in hostile environments and it's just a game of football. Yes, you're playing Bayern Munich. But again, if this game was played away from home and we saw these things, I might have a bit I wouldn't question my own logic, but you're playing in front of your fans. There's no Bayern Munich fans there. We've been in good form, been strong defensively. They bleed just like us. You know, a lot of you have played either for your country or growing up or just your footballing journeys in hostile environments, some even in the Europa where the fans are crazy all around Europe. How far, and at the end of the day, it's just a game of football. How far does that go? And if it does go that far, was it a game? Was it a time? Was it just a game? We just made mistakes? Was it a thing where we were a bit complacent? Or if anything, was it a thing where player for player, not everybody, but player for player, we're looking at Kane, we're looking at Sane, we're looking at Gnabry, and we're shitting the bed, pardon my language. How far does, even though I agree with you, Ahmed, being devil's advocate, how far does that go? Really? The next level is getting the Stardust long term. That's true. And again, it's about individual moments. And at the end of the day, let's be honest, Sane didn't really offer much of a problem. But when he needed to, he did. Gnabry, when he needed to back, he did. Kane didn't do nothing really and truly, apart from just trying to elbow Gabriel and trying to play 1-2s with Gnabry here and there. He was kept quiet. but he scored when he was required to. And it was written in the stars that Gnabry bagged with obviously his Arsenal ties. Kane technically with Arsenal ties, but Spurs ties. And Sane obviously working with City, really and truly. It was destiny that these boys would have fingered. Watching the game twice, though, you know, Musiala, the only good thing Musiala did was play that pass that led to one of the breaks, that led to one of the goals. But he flattered to deceive, really. And to be fair, he weren't strong enough in what led to the equaliser, where we was doing the Jogo Benito thing. It all comes from high pressure. Davies has made the throw. Ben White's won a header. Declan Rice has won another. I think Trossard has got in there. He's played it to Saka. Saka's played it to Jesus. Odegaard's made, and again, 7 p.m. tactical videos coming out, people. Odegaard's made a run and taken a runner with him. Jesus has done the jinky Braziliano stuff. And he's found, you know, the super sub Trossard. And we've got out of jail, really and truly. Arteta is brutally honest, but I think he will sort that out for the next game. We are just going to set up negative at Bayern. We'll play for 1-0. It's going to be like the Lens and Porto game. It's a game where you got to box smart. And I do think to a degree, like based on what Arteta said after that, we did kind of box smart. But at the same time, as the game goes on, and I guess it's for the players as much as Arteta, when do you start gambling and saying, you know what, we might concede, but let's score? And as the game goes on and you start talking about extra time, there's other factors, man. Stop blaming champs. Man didn't do their job. They weren't locked in, too casual. Too excited. We wasn't locked in, too casual. There you have it. You're watching the games tonight. I'm trying to edit some videos for you, lot. That's why I'm not doing a watch along, but I will be watching PSG Barca. You know, next week we'll definitely do 2 watch alongs for the champs. For me, it was down to the fine margins. We wasn't terrible. We just made mistakes which cost us. Yes, it was a pen, but so was Gabriel's brain fart. 2-2 was a fair result. It was a fair result. But sometimes that's all it's about. Fine margins, really. And the one it might not help us this year, and I definitely want to win, and I don't know if we're going to succeed next year. But when we were a team looking like we could get 4th, obviously we lost out to Spurs. We learned our lessons. Top 4 became a minimum to the point where it became talking about winning the title. We weren't built for a title challenge. At the end, we crumbled. This year, we've gone into it with, well, to be fair, it depends, really, because you go back to August, certain people say, oh, Chelsea going to get better, United going to get better, Arsenal are going to not do anything, it was a fluke. Then, you know, some were saying, you know, Arsenal have announced themselves, they're expected to do it. Either way, I don't look at the league table, but we're in and around fighting for such. So hopefully, we learn our lessons for the champs, because this time next year, let's just imagine we fast forward a year from now, and we're in this stage, and we've got, just make it easier, we've got Bayern Munich. I don't want to be saying these things. It don't make sense. We need to score first in Munich, Arteta low block terrorist football settings. It would be nice to score first. But again, as the game goes on against Bayern Munich, their fans are going to be there, going to be making noise. We're going to have to manage that. And it's like what Ben is saying here. We've got Bayern with this, but we've got to be street smart. You have to ignore the game. Plus, we have played the European competition, even if it's Europa, is smaller, but being hostile, just got to calm your nerves and go for it. And I can't say don't be nervous. Everyone should be nervous. Nerves make you human. It's how you challenge. It's how you channel it. And the more I look at it, was it complacency? Because we started very well. Like Bayern, there were points where you could see this looked like the Bayern that's struggling in the Bundesliga. This looks like inform Arsenal. Was we complacent in the sense that we didn't think it was we stopped reminding ourselves it was Bayern Munich, because the transition's horrible, man. Horrible. Kirill getting spun is not a fine margin. That's just a guy Ishak defending. Can we take the experience from City away and go with that to Bayern and be better than the City game? We're going to have to. We need a City away performance badly. I guess so as well. But then going back to the psychological factors, even though you lot are right, yeah, obviously we've played City a number of times. So is there an air of comfortability with that, in a sense of the nerves are there, but the nerves are not really there? We ain't bucked Bayern. So I don't know. I'm just being devil's advocate. I don't know, man. I'd love to hear. It's moments like this. I wish the players and the manager had a podcast, man. I'd love to hear it, man. But either way, I think, you know, we did well to score. We showed we can be combative and competitive and dominate proceedings to a degree. But on the other hand, defensively, we were terrible. That's where ultimately defense wins titles. And this ain't a league title, but your level, how you can defend, that plays a big factor as to how we get in the champs. And obviously, Trossard come off the bench, moment of individual brilliance, and you could extend that to Jesus. Saka, brilliant from Odegaard. We do have players that can do these things, but as much as I said it at the start, and I said it in the last live stream, as much as I think it's about tactics, it's about controlling the psychological aspect, and it's to find margins. Do our players take nothing away from them because on form and quality they're up there. But did they have the standards to make the difference like a Sane could, like a Gnabry could, like the Real Madrid players could, like 9 times out of 10, if it gets to crunch time, City players can? I'm not sure. Trossard is very 50-50 when it comes to whether he should become a main star. Obviously, these killer performances off the bench help his case, but same way many of his starts have been underwhelming. And that's where I feel about Trossard. There's been times he's come off the bench and been crap. There's times he started and been crap. There's times he's come off the bench and been amazing, more so the bigger games. Like what? I swear, I could be wrong, but did he come off the bench against Liverpool when he scored where Kirill got the assist? Obviously, he saved us at Stamford Bridge and he saved us last night. And there's been games he started well, like West Ham away. I'm sure I could be wrong. But this is why you need a squad. When some men are playing crap, other players pick up the burden. You know, people can say what they want about Kirill, about David Raya, about Gabriel and Saliba. There's been City. Them man were being dirty. Our attackers weren't offering much. I badly want to be wrong, but I don't see us winning in Germany. Bayern will comfortably beat us. We ain't got enough quality to beat Bayern. Hopefully, we can prove you wrong, man. It's all good having the plan of holding Bayern down and playing the same way we did at the Etihad, but our composure in Europe home and away needs to improve. Allianz away is not for the faint-hearted. Blood. You said it there. It's not for the faint-hearted, man. And like, what can I say? Innit? We're just going to have to cross that bridge Wednesday night next week, really, which we will be doing the watch-along for, man. So you're right. But psychologically, again, against City, it looked like for the last couple of periods now, even games where if we go back last season or really and truly since Arteta's come in, there's been steady progression against City in the sense of there was a time we was losing games, but it was more defined margins. Like I'm sure Kevin De Bruyne, where I can't remember if Ramsdale was off his line or Tomiyasu did something mad, but Kevin bagged. Obviously, we've been competitive at the Emirates. We've done them at Wembley, yes, pre-season, and we done them. Well, we didn't do them, but we got something at the Etihad. It's the devil we know, innit? Like, we know these boys. Like, we know them. Bayern, we're not going to play them 9 times out of 10. Yeah, you know, there's, you know, Jesus knows Sane. Tuchel has had history with Arteta. I'm sure there's other historical ties there, but you get the point. Martinelli is our main man for next week. It has to be defending, counter-attack. Can't lie, I'm starting Jesus, man. The Emirates acted as a double-edged sword, made the players aggressive, but maybe too aggressive for their own good. I'll be real. I don't think we was aggressive. I don't think we was aggressive enough. And when I say aggression, I obviously mean clamping, winning your first and second duels and things like that. But I also mean the pressing, your level of focus. I don't agree with that personally. Man said, you lot are optimistic. I ain't. We're not going through. Man are playing football scared. You can't win like this. Have some faith, man. Have some faith. But for me, it's 50-50. I know I always sit on the fence, but it's 50-50. I think I've got reasons to be optimistic. But the fine margins, who's more likely to take them? For me, I would say Bayern Munich to control your nerves. If Bayern can do that at the Emirates, where there's not a single Bayern fan, can we do that over there? I've seen good away performances. I'm not sure, though. People are surprised we didn't play as well as we do in the Premier League. It's the Champions League. They're better than Brighton and West Ham. Bit harsh to use Brighton and West Ham, though, because we've got 4 points off Liverpool and City. They're not easy games. The thing is, I don't think Sane was that. I don't think their attackers were that amazing. I think Sane's an amazing player and he made the difference, but it weren't a thing I was sitting there over 90 minutes and thinking, oh, Kirill's getting cooked. The times we needed Kirill to fix up, he didn't do it. I don't think their attackers did well like that, but that's also signs of being a quality team. You know, take the 1-2 shot. There's been games Saka's been great from minute 0 to 90, but there's also been games where he hasn't, but he's had one chance to put the ball in the back of the net. And as you get further and further in a competition, that's what you need to do, innit? In my opinion. Didn't think we did time management enough either. Same, man. Like, obviously we scored, but then the equalizer came far too soon. So maybe there's an air of complacency there, you know, and then we conceded really and truly, like, 15 minutes before the end of the first half. It's never a good time to concede, but it weren't there. Martinelli, that guy is in Rashford settings. He ain't doing nothing for the rest of the season. How many games has he had to figure out differently? And he ain't done it, not his season. I still retain faith in him. Musiala and Kane were missing. Sane was good, not going to lie. I hear that. Musiala showed his age as well. Quality player. And he's been here before, but showed his age. If we manage to win at Bayern, we're grabbing something this season. I don't care. Because the last 2 years, including this year, they've been good, man. They've been good. But 10 years from now, 20 years from now, are we going to sit here and say, oh, 2023-24 is a great season? Maybe if it's the catalyst for something, and it might be in a documentary, but there's nothing etched in history. Fair enough, we did win the English Super Cup in August, but it would have been nice to still be in the FA Cup. It definitely would be nice to, I don't look at the league table, but you lot say we're in a Premier League fight. let's get that done. And who doesn't want to win the champs? Easier said than done. Davies was shook, should have been sent off. It's not about their attack. They split the centre-backs Porto style, just set up for the counter-attack, and it worked. We didn't have answers to stop them. Street smart from them. With the midfield we put out, I thought we was too aggressive. We should have stayed more pragmatic at times. I think if anything, we were pragmatic. I don't think we was aggressive, but that's the beautiful thing about football, is seeing things differently. I think we were more scared than aggressive. It only hit us when we went 2-1 down and we needed to genuinely hold ourselves together. Saliba and Gabriel defo looked a lot more comfortable. That's what I said at the start, where I think we started well, we ended well. In between, the lines are blurred. Some moments or periods are better than others, and it's not good enough, innit? There are going to be times like that, but you need to be the better team across 90 minutes. And I guess statistically we were, but then we shot ourselves in the foot. Kane elbowing people is nothing new. Like Kane elbowing people, both teams should have had more penalty. Well, we should have had a penalty. They should have had a second. What else was there? There's definitely more incident. There's definitely more. David, he completely bottled the second yellow for Davies. Bottled it, really. So, yeah, I love Kimmich at the carpet, man. People talk about Saka pen. Let's talk about him making the best left back in the world. Look at average player, my winger. Is he the best left back in the world? He might be. I'm genuinely asking. I don't know, man. I really don't know. I'm genuinely asking. On the topic of Saka, you know, this season he's in the top 2 for goals and assists in the Champions League. He's in the top 5 for goals and assists in the Premier League. And he's in the top 10 in Europe's top 5 leagues for goals and assists. Firmly one of the best players in the world, whether they like it or not. My Capitano, they say Odegaard doesn't stand up to be counted. He did. And I think the most interesting thing is he does not look happy at all. It's like his mom just gave him beats and he has to take a picture at a family event. He does not look happy. So I love to see that. Big up Bakayo for that one. Bayern had the fewest shots of the year with 7 and 1 shot on target, and it resulted in 2 goals. So street smart. And that's what their manager and their players have over us. Arteta said, Champions League, you give something, they take it. That's the quality of players they have and experience they have. A lot of simple things we haven't done to the standard we usually do and allowed them to have space to run. Said it, the gaffer said it there. And we're very right-hand centric. And in the champs, you need to have threats from all over. And again, our attacking sequences, Saka, White, Odegaard, they're all on the right-hand side. Then you start to look at Declan Rice, who to a degree didn't look the most comfortable yesterday. And obviously Martinelli played poor, but he's isolated. It's not really much there. So on the balance of things, you know, statistically, I thought we had at the edge, but there was times it could have went left for us, and it did go left at times, but at least we've got something to threaten with, man. And yeah, look, like we started well, and then after conceding, the game kind of went beyond us to a degree. Saka is the first man to score in the Champions League quarter-final for Arsenal since Nicolas Bentner in April 2010. If I was an Arsenal man, wouldn't want my name next to Bentner. But with that, he's also the first player to be directly involved in 8+ goals in a Champions League campaign for Arsenal since Alexis Sanchez in 15-16. And what people need to remember, this is his debut campaign. Apparently, Thierry Henry is the only man to be directly involved in more goals in a Champions League season for Arsenal than Saka. 4 goals, 4 assists in 8 games. Say what they want, but you know he's lit. Trossard is the first ever Arsenal player to score in each of his first 4 Champions League home games for the club. He's done so, obviously, against Bayern, Porto, Sevilla, and PSV. So he might be the man for the big occasions because he's done it twice in the latter stages. Saliba finally looked his age, which he has done on occasion, people. In the Premier League at the Emirates, he's only committed 5 fouls. He committed 4 and gave away a pen in the first half versus Bayern. He gave away the pen. But I think it's very simplistic just to get at Saliba, not to absolve him of anything. But it's been one ball into Sane, and we haven't pressed well because it's all started from a poor goal kick out to the right hand side, which you will see at 7 p.m. I've covered in a tactical analysis of the video. So we'll have to see, man. I don't buy this, but for what it's worth, Arsenal have been in contact with Rafael's reps. He is Arteta's top target this summer and is open to a move. No negotiations yet, but AC Milan have named their asking price. Smash the like button and let me know your thoughts. This journalist has said Arsenal have been in contact with his reps. He's once again Arteta's top target this summer. Leao is open to the move. No negotiation yet, but AC Milan have named their asking price, whatever that is. This says, you know, he's got a release clause of 175 million euros. AC Milan are open to negotiate when the transfer window opens, people. So we'll have to see. PSG are also interested, but Diaz is their top target. Liverpool's Diaz. Romano has poured cold water on that, though, because he has, I assume, has said that it's a myth. Another Milan story that's raised some eyebrows is a report linking Rafael as a top target for Arsenal, but I honestly have zero updates on this one. I'm not aware of talks or anything. Leao is happy at Milan. He has a 175 million euros release clause and is fully focused on Milan now. So nothing is happening as of today. As of today, that doesn't mean it can't happen, but that's a myth. He did last month distance himself from a potential move to Chelsea and says he sees his future at AC Milan, people. He then said, "It's my home. I like everything, shopping, fashion, even the weather, because it's similar to Portugal. Then you're not going to like England. Well, shopping and fashion you can get in London. Weather, forget about it. If you think it's cold, try go to Leo. And then the food. I like everything about Italian cuisine. Pasta, risotto, fish. My future is at Milan. I'm here and I have 4 years left on my contract. Milan helped me when I was in a very difficult situation and they supported me. I won't forget I'm loyal. I was a kid when I arrived. I've grown up as a man and as a footballer. I want to win again. My head is here." Fair enough. And he said, "I love great goals. Of course, I'd like to score more, but I also make assists. I am a complete player." I can't lie. I do like that self-confidence. Today, football is only about stats. I don't like it. Football is magic and joy. People who only think about numbers make me angry. People must be entertained so I can have fun too. I'm a fan of aesthetics and beauty in football, fashion, music, and love. Critics always motivate me. Sometimes I get angry, but only if it's not constructive. So you wouldn't have liked Cassano's comments recently. I am sorry when they are done just to taunt me. Sometimes I ask myself, does this guy know anything about football? And these things make me stronger anyways. I know where I can get it. Fair enough, people. He did once upon a time, say he likes Arsenal. Where's those comments, people? He said, yes, in the future, but now I'm 100% focused on Milan. When asked on maybe playing in the Prem, I'm at a top club and I'm under contract. I also like the city of Milan. I like Arsenal. I think they play very well. Fair enough, man. So maybe one day, but now it's a myth. Apparently, Arsenal are keeping tabs on a goalkeeper, people. Apparently, Arsenal and Liverpool were both represented at Sunderland's game at the weekend as they continue to keep tabs on Anthony Patterson. I mean, that could be a backup goalie if Aaron Ramsdale goes, but I'm sure he'd want first-team football as great as Liverpool and Arsenal are. You're not going to play ahead of Rayo and definitely not going to get ahead of Alisson. The highly rated goalkeeper Patterson was on the radar of a host of clubs, including Arsenal and Liverpool. Both clubs are understood to be looking at options for their number 2 goalkeeper, and homegrown Patterson is a major appeal to them. Haven't these lot got Kelly, people? Or he could be allowed to leave. There you have it there, people. So, yeah, apparently, despite only being 23, he has 130 starts to his name. So fair enough, man. There's a lot of transferable experiences there. Arsenal have long coveted the signature of Xavi Simons. The Netherlands international midfielder finds himself on loan at Leipzig this season after returning to PSG last summer. As Football Transfers has revealed, Arsenal have been monitoring the performance of the 20-year-old, while in the Bundesliga, his return of 9 goals and 13 assists have been eye-catching. Despite the Gunners scouting Simons, the expectation of being able to sign the former Barcelona youth have been low. He is after all expected to return to the Parc de France to become Mbappe's heir when the forward departs for Real Madrid at the end of his contract. Fair enough, we'd all love him, but myth. Door opens for Arsenal to sign Simons. Boy, he would only be a rotational player, but some rotational player that would be. But yeah, he can play in a number of roles. He'd be amazing. Apparently, Leipzig won 100 million for the Belgian striker Openda, and he's started to be linked with Arsenal again. And what's this got to do with Osimhen? Wait, what sort of Openda said here? I put too much pressure on myself by thinking that I absolutely have to score. It's not necessary, and it's something that Henry also passed on to me when he was still part of the technical staff at Belgium. He told me I was too tense when I touched the ball and I had to stay calmer. So I'm sure Arteta could ask Thierry Henry how he's feeling. So yeah, that's that. Don't know why that's there. I must have been reading that, but nonetheless. Victor Goyacárez is now considers Arsenal as his first choice club to make a transfer to this summer. Football Transfers can reveal. They said they broke the news that he was our priority target. The stumbling block is apparently has a hefty price tag of 80 million euros and apparently a release clause of 100 million euros. Furthermore, we are told despite interest from Chelsea, no approach has been made to Goyacárez's rep since last summer. At the time, the 25-year-old was keen on securing a move to a club participating in European competitions from Coventry, citing developmental reasons and his age as factors driving his decision. He was linked with Wolves and Torino, people. So yeah, at the time of initial interest, Arsenal were not in the picture. Since then, apparently we are, people. So we have to see. Apparently, if the head coach Ruben Amorim leaves when he's been linked with Liverpool, he wants to go as well, people. His agent has apparently said, yes, it'll be more difficult for Victor to stay if Ruben Amorim leaves Sporting, because Victor came precisely because of Ruben. The day we met, I said to Ruben, here's my boy. He came to Sporting because of you. Of course, it's an honor of any player to be able to play in the Champions League. Victor is no exception in that respect, but there are other important things, and Ruben Amorim is one of them. If he leaves, it'll be difficult for Victor to continue. So if you were Sporting hearing an agent talk like this, where agents kind of talk on behalf of their players, don't sound good, does it? We've gone over that already. Arsenal have been linked with João Gomez from Wolves, quite a decent player, also been linked with Liverpool. There must be admiration for him, people. At 23 years of age, being Brazilian, being somewhat of a bargain signing just over a year ago to Wolves from Flamengo, there could be something. Reports in Germany now claim Arsenal are showing the strongest interest in acquiring his services, recently been capped by Brazil, and Edu apparently is now planning to make an offer to Wolves for him ahead of the summer. So we'll have to see. The article doesn't mention the price tag, but it does say 60 million could be enough to tempt him, people. Who knows? And we have also been linked with Douglas Luiz, so you could expect that to continue. What's this? Arsenal are now closing in on their first sign of the summer. Apparently, Diamande is picking us over Chelsea. We have covered that before. We have been linked with Kingsley Coman this afternoon, if I'm honest. And apparently, Bayern wants 70 million to sell him. Love the guy. I think he'd be a quality player. Almost signed him when he was a teenager. He was at Arsenal versus Newcastle at the Emirates. That game where Theo Walcott scored that crazy goal, I think, where he's kind of falling on the floor. Like him, very versatile and whatnot. Proven winner, proven experienced winner, only plays at wavy clubs, but another one with fitness issues. Once again, we've gone over João Gomez. Man City are interested in signing Pedro Neto, but face competition from clubs in Saudi. So it seems like Arsenal have gone off the boil in that regards. Jorginho has said, we have a big group, amazing teammates and big players that can make an impact coming off the bench. Everyone is fighting for a place to play. No matter who is on the pitch, we will do our best to win. Fair enough. I know a lot of people don't want to hear about Ivan Toney, but apparently, Sky Germany are saying the 28-year-old could leave Brentford in the summer. West Ham have inquired, but it's not hot at this stage. Been told the price tag is around 30 to 40 million all in at the moment. Many clubs from the Premier League are interested. Chelsea and Arsenal are closely monitoring him for the summer. He's got 4 goals and 1 assist in the Premier League since he's returned to action after the betting stuff. 1 minute is Chelsea, the next minute is Arsenal. Apparently, Nico Williams could stay for another season at Bilbao before Arsenal tried to sign him in 2025, people. Joshua Zirkzee has been linked with Aston Villa, provided they qualify for Europe, as well as Man United, Newcastle and Arsenal. And apparently his agent holds the keys. I like his general play, but 60 to 70 million, hindsight's a wonderful thing. But right now, I'm not enticed by that. What's this? Who's this? Oh, we've gone over that. Apparently, Diamande is excited by the prospect of joining Arsenal. Bring him, man. We've wanted him since his days at, in Denmark, which haven't been long. And we followed his and tracked his progress since he's been in Portugal. Apparently, our game against Manchester United has been changed, people. Apparently, it will now take place on Sunday, May the 12th at 4:30, in line with Sky Sports. So, yes, things have been changed in that regard. What are you lot saying? 70 million for Coleman. Are we mugged? Coleman for 70 M's is crazy. Same goes for Openda being valued at 100 M's. What's happened to my sport? It's only going to get worse. Can't believe people wanted Ivan Toney. Guy's been missing mad chances and hold-up players falling off since the England game. To be fair, he's getting back into the groove of things. And what player or striker doesn't miss chances? I wouldn't be against Ivan Toney, but I do agree with you in the sense that people are behaving like he's the Messiah. Diamande, I really do like, but he'll be big money. He will be, and we do need competition / a backup / alternatives for Saliba. But when we see when we've been in with him, Deluded, Gurhi, anyone that's going to cost 50 all the way to 80, 90, are we, surely, again, money's money, and City done it with Guardiola. But are we really going to spend that money for someone that isn't better or going to take the place of either Gabriel or Saliba? I'm all for it because he can play fullback. And you could make a case of us needing another left-back, centre-half, right-sided fullback, or someone of the Timber and Tomiyasu ilk that can do all of that. My prediction for Arsenal's transfer window, Gyökeres, Zubimendi, goalkeeper Braithwaite. Can see Arsenal maybe getting Sesko if Victor don't come. Kingsley for 70 million is a myth. I want Sesko, man. If I could, Sesko and Hatter will be top of they'd be on my summer list. They might not hit the ground running, but I think in times to come, they'll show their quality. If you haven't smashed the like button, make sure you're doing such. I think we'd all take Simmons. I think we'd all want Simmons. A lot of players have love for us. It's what Wenger made happen at this club. Unfortunately, our problem has always been pulling them though. But the more we get to the latter stage of the champs and the Prem, and obviously the financial stuff that comes with that, maybe one day we can get these clickbait players. After yesterday, people are questioning Martinelli about getting rid of him from Madrid. Martinelli can stay, man. If Leao can play as a striker, then maybe he need a lot of work to be a striker. I think he'd have a lot of work. Arteta would have a lot of work on his hands to convert him to be a striker. I think his consistent work rate over 90 minutes would have to improve. I think Rafael's a brilliant player. You know, he can stretch defenders, be great on the transition. But I think he's very wasteful. And I never want to take that out of him because I think he's very instinctive as a footballer and I think he needs that. But as you get older, you need to be more calculated. So I think that needs to balance it out a bit more. And I think his work rate defensively would have to improve a tenfold. But I wouldn't be against him. I wouldn't move heaven and earth for him. Leao ain't it for me. Wrong side of the wing we need to be looking at. Get me Elise on the right. I would love Elise. But half of the guys like Elise, Neto, these guys love injuries, man. Saka already better than Hazard's Champions League stats. You won't hear much about that, though. This is why stats are dangerous. That Alphonso Davies performance yesterday was very good, in my opinion. He held Saka up well, and fair play to Saka because he gave him a very good goal. Proved a lot of doubters wrong, even if they deny it. They secretly hate Saka, man, because they know why. People are going to talk about Saka's pen. Let's talk about him making the best left back in the world look average. I think both of them had decent games, but Davies can't lie and say Saka didn't give him a torrid time. Left back, our biggest weakness. Last 5 games, they've been getting bullied. Villa game, Bailey's going to cook. Hopefully not. Who do you think is the striker best suited for Arsenal, goals aside? I don't know. And then it becomes general play. I think Sesko's a good one. He's very raw, though. I think Gyökeres, based on the general play and the pressing metrics, he'd be a good one. You said goals aside, so that kind of disregards Osimhen. I think I'd be okay with Tony. He'd be my last option. It's like if you're trying to secure some mandem, if you know, innit? If you're trying to secure some of that, you're going through your phone book. Your main one's on holiday or something, they're not going, and then you're going to the last 6 out of 10 one that you know is just going to be so happy to see you. That's a sure banker. That's how we got to be looking at Ivan Toney, in my opinion. Like, go and explore the market, go after all these other guys. He's there in it, and the only risk is Brentford are probably going to have to try and flog him because, you know, Tony could run down his contract. He will get offers, but you can't let a player like that go for free. A part of me thinking we're knocking Chelsea for Mudryk, but the striker market, not really a 20-plus goal striker, but it'd be Sesko if you're looking to chess someone. I think you mean develop someone, but depends on the money. Sesko's got a release clause, so you never know in this world, but it's techie, man. I don't feel there's a striker you could be 100% convinced by. I really like Osimhen, but I think you're a liar if you're saying you're 100% convinced by him, and I don't necessarily think you're watching him on a consistent basis if you can say you're 100% convinced. But that's just me, man. I could be wrong. Probably am. Football's a funny old game of opinions. Jesus Zinchenko made social media hate accounts go quiet last night. There you have it, really. And it's a funny old game, you know. Kirill is the best thing since sliced bread. And I'm not saying he's bad, but best thing since sliced bread. Now he's terrible. Everybody loves Zinny again. People shut the hell up about Gabriel Jesus. But people just live week in, like day to day. They don't see how you need a squad, you know. There's been games where some of the players that were shit yesterday have made the difference. There's no excuses for Martinelli. Man's not involved in his game, finding another way to play. Martinelli be all right, man. If Dortmund can beat Bayern, so can Arsenal. Dynamics are different, but where there's a will, there's a way. And at the end of the day, we have to believe we can. If we don't, then what's the whole point? Really and truly. What is the whole point? Might as well pack up and let Bayern go and advance to the next round and play either City or Madrid, because there's who's going through there. That game, based on the highlights, and I watched the 90 minutes again, it's mad if I'm honest with you. Like, I think Foden scored a peach of a goal. Bernardo Silva's finish was cheeky, and was it Guardiola? Whoever got the third, it weren't a bad finish either, man. Leao was not a team player, he's an individual. I think that's harsh, but I see why you would say that. And you do have to be a team player for Mikel Arteta. But with that being said, though, people, I'm off to go edit some more videos for you lot. Again, 7 p.m. a tactical video will come out. People, make sure you take that one in. In fact, before I get out of here, let's leave a comment. Let me comment it in the comment section, because I know some of you lot are lazy. Even though this video will take you to such, you lot, your talking points, your questions, your differences of opinions, it's always appreciated. And again, as we go towards the weekend, you know, we're going to do a watch along for Aston Villa versus Arsenal tomorrow. There'll be some content. It's Thursday tomorrow, right? So yeah, we should if nothing goes wrong, Jessica Black, she knows Arsenal. We should be doing a stream on my channel and her channel. You know, we're going to speak about Kirill and Gabriel Jesus because she's had a lot to say about them. But yeah, man, you lot stay blessed, stay safe. Check out the rest of the content. I mean, there's a lot of talk about left backs. I would have scored against Bayern.
Against this right back.
And so on there. If you lot want me, let's get to 60 and 70k and this video will go away. But you lot stay safe, stay blessed.
You always use that active and defending. I think it's like